Have you ever thought, I wonder where council's going to upzone next? Where the next it spot's going to be? Well, believe it or not, council's actually created a map that shows the locations that they intend to target next. I know, right now you're sitting there going, gimme? Well, in this video, we're going to cover off how council came up with that map, where you can get a copy of that map, and how you should use that map. So, stay tuned. Before I give you what you want, which is obviously the map, I'm going to take you back in time. I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson, an explanation as to how council came up with the map, because I believe that in this instance, the why behind the map is almost as important as the actual image itself. So let's go back in time, approximately 10 years ago to 2005. Brisbane City Council carried out a massive, and I mean massive, public consultation process. It was known as the City Shape process. They consulted with members of the public, members of the industry, government bodies. The list goes on and on. What they essentially said was population growth is inevitable. More people are going to be going into our city. Where are they going to go? Where are the dwellings going to go? How are we going to deal with this? What came out of this consultation process overwhelmingly was that people do not want those higher densities spread equally across the city. They basically sat there and said that's going to result in a higher loss of our pre-1947, our cute character houses, greater impacts on residential amenity, etc., etc. Instead, what they wanted was those higher densities clustered around transport nodes, this whole idea of transit-orientated development, or TODs. So, what council came up with was this image here. I know, my drawing skills are awesome, right? You're totally jealous. Essentially, what council created was the inner circle here is basically the commercial and the transport hub. The likes of Toowong Shopping Centre, Chermside Shopping Centre, Garden City Shopping Centre, Intrapilli Shopping Centre, you get the idea. Immediately surrounding this transport and commercial node is what's called HDR, High Density Residential. Typically that's maybe 8 to 15 stories in height. Then we come to MDR. As you probably guessed, medium density residential, typically 5 stories in height. Then we come to LMR, CR, and LDR. Low to medium density residential, character residential, low density residential. Typically 2 to 3 stories in height, more often 2 rather than 3, and 1 to 2 stories in height for these ones here. So as you can see, we start with that commercial or transport node. It's where all the extra infrastructure and stuff is. Stuff being a technical term. Then you have the higher density, medium. You step out from there, you start to teeter down in height. So basically the houses out in this area can be preserved, the original houses I should say, and the residential amenity is preserved, and everything else is clustered in around this inner circle. So now that council had this concept, this idea that they wanted to enact, they had to work out where in the city they were going to put these things. What they came up with was this map. To get a copy of this map, you simply go to Google and type BCC node map. It should be the first link that appears. As you will see, there are a series of 9 lines that extend out from the CBD, and each one follows a train or a transport line. Along each of these lines, you will see a series of diamonds. Some are orange in the middle, while others are outlined in orange. The filled ones, or orange ones, are known as activated nodes. These are the locations where council has already implemented the circular diagram I just showed you, where they've already carried out the upzoning process. Here is an example of a node that has already been upzoned. As you will see, the rings aren't perfect circles like in the diagram. The reality is, we are dealing with an existing developed city. We have to work around constraints like flooding, protected vegetation, or even valuable pre-1947 dwellings. Having said that, you can still see a clear stepping between the high density in red to the medium density in orange, and then down to the pale pink low density in the outer edges. Here is another example to help further illustrate how the rings translate into reality. If we go back to the map, the unfilled ones or hollow ones are what is known as unactivated nodes. These are the locations where council intends to upzone in the future. In an ideal world, council would activate all of these nodes at once. However, they simply don't have the resources to do that. Keeping in mind, as we established before, that council needs to identify and work around existing constraints and values. They can't simply pop the rings over the top and create perfect rings. So, your next question is probably going to be, when will these unactivated nodes be activated? Council upzones these areas as they redo the neighbourhood plans in these localities. They typically have a couple of neighbourhood plans on the go at any one time, which means it could be 10 or even 15 years before these unfilled diamonds are theoretically turned into filled or solid diamonds. One of the neighbourhood plans that is being reworked at the moment is the Green Slopes, or A4 if you're looking at the map. On the left, you have the existing zoning map for this location. On the right, you have the proposed zoning map, the map that has been created through the consultation process that Council carries out when they revise the neighbourhood plan. As you can see, there is a clear uplift in zoning between the two images and a semi-ring effect. Now, it is important to note one thing at this point. This image was created at the time that City Plan 2014 was released. As such, it is now almost 4 years old. Therefore, any locations that have been upzoned in the past few years will still be shown as a hollow diamond on this image. So now you know the history of how the map came about, where to find the map and how to interpret the map. The next question is naturally going to be, what do I do with this map? Well, if you're looking for a site that has immediate development potential, I'd be going for one of the activated nodes, because Council's already done the rezoning process there. It's where they're going to focus their resources and their infrastructure in the immediate future. However, if you're looking for more of a longer term project, something for down the track, then maybe you want to look at an unactivated node. Get in before the upzoning process occurs, before the prices go up. Now, there is two things that you need to keep in mind. Number one, timeframes. Council might not get to that location that you choose for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, even 15 years. So you need to be okay with those timeframes, no matter what extreme it is. Number two, there is no certainty over which property is going to be upzoned. You can obviously go in, work out where the transport node or the centre is, work out where the constrained land is, so the flood affected properties, the properties that are affected by vegetation, the good quality pre-1947 houses. You can rule all of that out and then work out where the rings, or semi-rings if you want to call them that, are going to go from there. But at the end of the day, until Council goes through and does their own assessment, there's no certainty, no guarantee. So there you have it. We've covered off the history of how the map came about, where to find the map, how to interpret the map, and some ideas of how you can use the map. I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about. If you've liked this video and you have an idea for a content or another video that you would love for me to cover off, I would encourage you to comment below. If you see a comment or a content idea from someone else that you like the look of, give them a like, because we will prioritise the comments that have the highest number of likes. Until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not Council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not Council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.